My mental health comes along with the physical journey. Do stuff you want to do. Don't suffer. Because if you suffer, it's that much more work to want to do it. I think marketing is the lifeblood of the company. The best thing I could say anybody should do is always educate themselves. Go get the knowledge you need. If you work on you, if you work on your leadership skills, if you work on reading, being around the right people, it'll advance you so much further than putting your head down and just working hard. Hire people far better and stronger in that one particular thing. Hire specialists. I'm relentless. I want more. I'm going to ask triple the amount of questions, 10 times the amount of people that have been where I want to go.
Welcome here, Mr. Tommy Mello.
Hey, good to be back. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, so are we. It's been too long, Tommy, and we're excited to see where you're at, what you're doing, and how you can help our listeners start to build their own empire as you have so eloquently and strategically done in your own. And it's going to be a good conversation.
Is this your fourth Waste No Day?
It's either the third or the fourth.
Yeah,
I remember
you might
being on a long ass walk with you guys years ago. And
yeah, that was your first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did you and Ken like almost back to back, and you guys were both walking the whole time. So it was like you could faintly hear a little bit of extra breathing and stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, it's good to have you back on, Tommy, and we're excited to talk about what's going on in your world and how the things that you've implemented, the things that you've experienced, the things that you've learned can be beneficial to people who are looking to build their own empire. So Brian was just talking about walking and making some comments about that. And I noticed since the last time that we've talked, I've also seen you online. You've started your own fitness journey, which I assume has been obviously very beneficial for you. You're looking fantastic. And I think you're very proud of the growth that you've seen in that area. Let's just start off on that front in terms of like, why did you even decide to kind of jump into that arena, and how beneficial has it been for you, or where have you seen the benefits?
Yeah, I can start. Hold on, let me jump in there. I'll tell you what happened. I was over Tommy's house one day, and he saw me bench, and he was like, I got to get back to the gym. It's ridiculous. I was benching more than he could squat at the time. It was pretty bad.
You know, the deal is, no, it's true. Look, you know, I've been on a lot of podcasts. I started a second one called The Mello Millionaire. And I interviewed the CEO of Jamba Juice today, and he's 65. And it seems like once you hit a certain age, it's all about longevity. My trainer, Lucas, is an amazing guy, and he works with super mega wealthy clients. And he's like, dude, the one thing when they get wealthy is they want to live longer. They want to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And there's a piece to that, but it's really for me is living a life that's like energetic. Like, I'll be honest, recently I really screwed up my ankle. I came down on it really, really bad, and I just got surgery before Thanksgiving, so I still got a boot on. And I miss the walks the most. I just miss the energy I got just to be able to decompress. And, you know, I'm really building a lot of accountability into next year. Like, I gotta say, I think I failed a lot since this boot came on. I've still been working out a lot, but I'm so ready to go to the next level. So this year, I'm really going in building a lot more accountability. I'm hiring a nutritionist. I'm gonna be counting the calories. I just got a new bracelet. I had the Oura Ring forever. This one's supposed to be even better. This is supposed to be like the dead tracking. Like, I'm gonna be tracking, and it's not just gonna be January and February. I'm really gonna be counting on a lot of people to like, look, what I've realized is like I'm gonna have Brian come by a couple times a week. We'll do the cold plunge in the sauna. I'll have Luke come by. I'll have Jacob come by. I'm gonna really build in accountability partners, because whenever Brian comes, we just walk and walk and walk, and it seems like it's 10 minutes and we could go for an hour. And that's the deal for me is like, I'll get the health, especially the diet, super locked in. And with the diet alone, you could have a six-pack. You're more likely to be a millionaire in the United States. So dial that and dial in the supplements. And I'm building a new gym at A1. It's going to be world class. It's not like a big LA Fitness gym. It's small, but it's the highest, best gear ever. Raising the ceilings, best sound equipment. It's going to be very expensive equipment. It'll have a Smith machine, all the major cardio. So I'm removing the barriers and the excuses. And I'm getting married next January 1st.
Congrats.
So, and I want to be ready to start a family. I want to be the best. As much money and as close you can be with God, I want to look the part too. Like, you know, when people meet me when I was at my best, which was earlier this year, they're like, damn, you're disciplined. How do you do it? And I miss that because I'm not where I was. So that's the next level. And it really is. My mental health comes along with the physical journey. And just my serotonin, my dopamine, the way I think, the way I process, the way I sleep, the way I function in the gathering, everything, it comes back to that, and there's no excuses. I have nothing. I feel like shit since I haven't been able to walk. And now I'm craving it so bad. I don't want this, like body at rest stays at rest. So that's where I'm at.
You had a great quote, and I want to say it was Elevate, but I don't remember which book it was, but it said, if you don't build systems, you'll spend your life babysitting problems. And we talk about the systems you build at A1 and home service freedom and all the other things you do all the time, but are all these other facets you talk about, because, boiled down, we're talking about what we talk about on here, the 4 F's, you talk about the 6 F's, but faith, fitness, family, and finances. Yeah. Is everything in there systematized? Like, is your spiritual walk, do you have systems laid out for that? I know your fitness, you certainly do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Travis Heard just texted me yesterday, and it was me and Bree sent me a 2.5-minute text, and he said, I just want to let you know, brother, I'm praying for you. I got big plans for you in 2026. The Lord has big plans for you. And he said, the message of Impact Church is, I'm brain farting right now. You know what? I'll just play you a bit of it because I think it was really, I won't play the whole thing. I won't bore you with that, but
yeah, I mean, you would want to let them know that dozens and dozens of people are going to hear this text.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I love you guys. I'm grateful for you guys. I believe that 2026 is going to be historic and one for the record books. And as we come to a conclusion for 2025, I pray we finish strong and run through the finish line and not to the finish line. I am believing God for big things for 2026 for Impact Church and our families of Impact Church. In fact, the theme for 2026, which I pray about a theme every year for our church and for our staff and for us, is whatever it takes.
So whatever it takes, that's what it is. So that's what I'm going to do with A1, whatever it takes. I'm bringing the message from the church. And by the way, in January, towards the end, I'm inviting every single person that wants to go to church with me, including at A1, including family, including Facebook friends, including anybody that wants to fly in. I'm setting that up with Bree. And, Pastor Travis told me this quote. He said, it's between 90 and 95% of people that you invite will go. They've just never been invited. So he said, that's all you do. He said, let God do the work. But all you got to do is open your mouth and invite. So that, reading the Bible every day, it's like anything else. You got to create accountability around it. You got to put systems in place, just like a book club. If we have a book club and we're all accountable to read it and go over it at the end of the month, I feel like I was letting you guys down if I didn't do it. They did the work. They took the time. They have a busy life. They have families. Why couldn't I do it? So as you start creating these accountability layers, and it doesn't need to be just with one person, but I'll tell you this, the accountability partner you choose needs to be somebody that's willing to call you out. Because if you create the wrong one, you could easily go, hey man, look, I'm exhausted today. You're exhausted today. Let's just skip it. It's super easy. Yeah. Look, we're tied up. I had a busy Saturday. Let's just skip church. Hey, listen, let's skip this Bible study. Let's skip these prayers. We're talking about the idea of faith right now. So that's something to where if I get this right, and we talk about my 6 F's, and I could use Jesse Itzler's big ass calendar and schedule it right and create all the right accountability partners and make sure we're setting small goals daily and weekly, not monthly, not quarterly. Just let's get to the end of the week. Let's start again. And let's make sure we don't let anything get in the way. And if I do this correctly, it comes super easy. It really does. The time blocking, the managing of the calendar, and the accountability combined, it becomes less discipline because you're kind of forced into it. Like, you come over to do a cold plunge, Brian, I'm not going to be like, oh, dude, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, Liz is like doing it on my own when I really don't want to do it, which I could convince myself. I could talk myself out of it pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, dude, I go to your house. We do a walk. It's 8,000 steps that we do typically, somewhere between 6 and 10. But I think usually I count at the end of the day, and it's added 8 to my step count. If I said I was going to go do that at 7 p.m. every night, I would do it maybe once every 6 months. But as soon as I walk in the front door at Tommy's, Raul greets me with a bottle of water. The dogs greet me with barking and licking. Bree greets me with a hug. And then Tommy's putting his shoes on, like, let's roll, brother. I'm like, all right. And that's what we do. But with the accountability and, say, the system, like you said, it feels like the walk's like 10 minutes, right? We just get to talking, and we don't count steps. We don't pay attention to what we're doing. We just have a nice conversation and get going. And I feel like that I was my fitness journey was divinely put in place, where I started it in rehab, and I don't think I've had an accountability partner since I got out that stayed consistent to show up every morning and hit it with me, right? But fortunately for me, I spent 14 months in that facility with some animals, some fresh out of prison, who were just guys that just worked out every chance they got. So there was no, I'm not going to make it. They'd snatch you out of your bunk bed and drag you in there. But that's the thing. You just get around some people that are just doing it anyway. You don't have any time for you talking about you're tired this evening or you're just not feeling it today. Like, they'll just be on your front porch waiting for you.
Well, the other thing is, look, I want to be around a few guys I know that are just chiseled. The more I'm around them, and it's not Andy Elliott, it's just like guys that are like, why not me? And the other thing is, like,
You're talking about Nate, huh?
Look
at that chiseled jawline.
It's a chiseled jaw. I think there's something to be said too about, like, I really enjoy taking Zoom calls on a walk. Not every Zoom call, some people would disagree, but they don't get to see my face every time. Sometimes I'm a spectator just listening in, and I'll tell them, hey, I'm going on a walk. If you need me to jump on, if I'm going to talk, I'll jump on. If you don't mind me guys walking, I'll put it on mute. And you could easily get 3,000-4,000 steps pretty quickly. It just multitask. I got Brandon Vaughn. He literally for 6 or 7 hours a day goes at like 1.6 on a stand-up desk. Runs all of his meetings, everything, not fast, barely moving. He lost all the weight, and he's got an 8-pack now, ripped up.
Wow.
Just slow, just steady, body working it, moving, just consistently. Didn't really change anything. Didn't change his diet much. Just did that. So it's just staying active.
Man, I don't know how long I've been doing the monthly training, sales training for the owners and managers in Home Service Freedom. It's been maybe half a year, maybe most of 25. But there are 3-4 guys that get on that call every month that I'm on there, and I talk, and they listen or throw questions in, but they're on those desk treadmills the entire time. And 2 of them are visibly more fit from when we started doing that call. Like, you literally see it in their face. Can't think of their names, but you can literally see it in their face. And I have one under my desk, and it comes out occasionally, but not enough. But I am right next to the Scottsdale quarter. So for me to take a Zoom call and walk around there and look at all the Lamborghinis and stuff is pretty easy.
Well, look, I don't enjoy walking on a treadmill under my desk. I've got one too. So I don't think you should ever do something that you can't stand. I'm going to try to jump on the Peloton again. I've got a lot of buddies and my sister and my brother-in-law that use it. And if I could gamify it, great. But I want to do stuff racquetball I enjoy playing. Like, do stuff you want to do. And don't suffer. Because if you suffer, it's that much more work to want to do it. And it's like, I want to skip that. But if you look forward to it, if you actually, like, you get a natural high out of it, then you'll probably continue doing it. Like, you could do a diet for so long. But what if you just ate pretty good and just planned on the days you're going to kind of goof off a little bit? Like, you can set up your macros that way. And that's what a lot of smart people do, is they set up their life to not say, hey, I'm just going to do this. It's something that I can live with forever. And sometimes it takes work, because once your body's got a lot more muscle, your body burns a lot more calories, so it's easier to maintain that. So sometimes you might have an altered state for the beginning of it.
I do feel like Dr. J has kind of the cheat code for that. Who's my doctor and Tommy's doctor. Nate, you don't use Dr. J, do you?
No, not yet.
He's been on the show. He's been on Wiser Wednesday. He's been on Tommy's show. But his thing is to get your body weight in grams of protein, right? Especially for men, but even women, your lean mass body weight. And guys, if you're trying to get 200 grams of protein in a day, like what's an ounce of chicken? Like 7 grams of protein.
It's hard.
So
it's hard to do it.
An
gotta drink
8-ounce chicken breast is 56 grams of protein, right? So you got to get 4 of those in, or a bunch of eggs and like steak. And it's not easy to do, but if you actually eat 200 grams of protein from meat, you don't have a whole lot of room left for the starchy carbs and the cookies and the ice cream. And I'll make room for the ice cream, but typically your stomach is pretty full getting up to that point. So it's kind of a cheat code. And then if you do it long enough, like Tommy said, you are putting significant amounts of muscle on, and you're burning way more calories just existing than you ever have before, just your body trying to keep that muscle going.
I'll just tell you guys, when you look and feel your best and you're wearing clothes that fit well and your significant partner looks at you different, and everywhere you go, I remember walking through the airport when I was at my best, and the guy goes, at the security, he goes, "Holy shit." He goes, "What team do you play for?" And I love that. I love that. So
Yeah.
it was a good feeling. You know, it's not narcissistic. It's not vanity. It's literally just like, man, I work for this, and I'm going to continue to
enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, and then you feel great too. I mean, look, if I had to choose whether the compliments or the way I feel, I choose the way I feel all day.
So, Tommy, a question with you about the accountability piece. You know, I don't know what version of yourself you consider that you are on. Like, if you've reinvented yourself multiple times, I'm sure, as you reflect, back to even when you were back in a truck yourself, and through all the years of progress that you've seen, can you think of different people who held you accountable through all of those journeys? And I assume you probably evolved past some of them, or they kind of graduated you to somebody else. What does that journey of accountability look for you? I mean, not in today's version, because I think for some people, they look at you and say, I mean, Tommy Mello, like the dude's a gajillionaire, he's got all this stuff going for him. Like it's a dream too far. It's too much to really comprehend for some people. So like, take us back to a simpler time when you can think about your early days. Did you still have accountability in your life at that point, or was that more of a thing that you brought in later? And then, do you regret that if that was the case?
Yeah, I guess 2017 was a really pivotal year because I started the podcast. I met Olivia and I got on service site. And it's not the software that really made the difference. It's the introductions into the HVAC world and plumbing world. When I met all these $100 million shops and they invited me to their shop because I asked them. So that's when everything changed. I mean, I was at 17 million, but I wasn't keeping much of it, and I was a hell of a worker. I mean, we forced ourselves into that. Like, I mean, I was burning both ends, burning the candle on both ends. I was literally like, we forced that. And then all of a sudden I started asking questions, and I don't know why, but Ken Goodrich and Leland and Ken Haynes and Keegan and all these companies, and there's a lot more. I got to go to their shops, and they just gave me the playbook, and they're like, dude, it's awesome you're in another industry. I don't know if this helps, but we'll show you how to sell service agreements. We'll show you how we do an hour and a half long tune-up, and we'll show you how we use financing, and we'll show you how we set up our org charts, and we'll show you. And then Al Levy's like, have you ever heard of Kick Charge by Dan Antonelli? I think you should redo your brand. And then he taught us about manuals. And then all of a sudden we started getting really good with the software technology side. And all of a sudden, a few good players. And then we just, a few key decisions, a few key hires, we started printing money. But I will say that I've always liked to hire people and pay them good money, because I respect them a lot more when I pay them. The more I pay, the more I'm going to listen. And it was a tough lesson to learn. But if I paid somebody $300 a month to coach me, I might miss a session. I don't give two shits. But if I'm paying somebody that's really significant, everything they say, I'm like, I better turn off my cell phone. I better get the most out of this. I better do what they say because they've been where I want to go. They've got a proven track record of whatever I'm getting coached on to actually amplify that. So that's kind of like my biggest, like, I'm working with Ed Milet right now on my new book. It's going to be called The Blue Collar Billionaire Blueprint. That's the name we've been working on. And he's like, Tommy, he's like, I'll just give you the cheat codes. He's like, I trained Alex Hormozi how to do it. He goes, we have the best book launch ever. He's like, you don't need to be on 100 podcasts. I'll get you on the 12 you need to be on. I'll tell you just, you go self-publish. He's like giving me like 2 sessions with him. Holy shit. This is like 20 years of like mistakes that people he's worked with. And so then you go to the different.
I'm guessing you don't want to talk about what the investment is because it probably looks different for each person, but.
Well,
you tell me how much you want to say.
It's $500,000 for 6 months.
How many sessions is that? Like an hour a month or something like that?
Yeah.
Wow. Not bad. He's got to be worth every penny because like everybody we have ever heard of has been coached by Ed Milet at some point.
Well, the deal is like Ed Milet 10 years ago isn't the same Ed Milet, and quite frankly, he's like, I only like to work with 9s and make them into 10s. He's like, that's where I'm at in my life. And you know, he's like, Tommy, who do you want to work with? And I'm like, dude, I've worked with 2s and 3s. And the problem is it's so hard to go back. And by that, it's not like they're 2s or 3s of life. It's just like they probably don't really understand EBITDA. They don't understand how arbitrage works. You know, getting to 5 million of EBITDA, those people are fun because it's like they've got the winning formula. They just need to amplify it now. But I'll tell you, listen, I'm very good at garage doors. I got Luke, I got Adrian, I've got a really strong team. We're bred through and through garage doors. And a lot of people are like, man, could you come be the CEO of my company? I'm like, dude, like it takes camaraderie. It takes years of bonding. It takes years of understanding each other. I know what I'm really good at. And what I love about the business is driving leads culture. And I enjoy a little bit of operations and sales, but I'll tell you, I think marketing is the lifeblood of the company. That's why I still own that piece of it.
Tommy, was there a time when let me start over and ask you this question. Do you believe entrepreneurs are created or are born?
No, they're not born. Same thing as leaders. I think there are people that are better at it at a younger age just based on, but it's literally like you can look at older childs versus middle childs versus younger childs. You can make a lot of characteristics are the same. I think that you can learn a lot of these things because I was held back. I was almost held back in first going into 2nd grade. We had a summer tutor, Mr. Donovan. I went in I had my own reading class. There was 4 reading class. I was in my own number 5. And I was like, I suck. And then in the summer, I came back to school in 2nd grade and I was in the top reading class and I was writing cursive better than anybody. But that's the deal is like, at least my parents, I was not like ashamed of it. I'm not like, I'm stupid. I just said, hey, I have a hard time learning in a class of 32 kids. It was a private school. It was a Christian school. And I was kind of a tough cookie to tolerate. I was kind of a goofy kid. So I needed some one-on-one time. And that's how I learned the best. And that's how I still learn the best.
So assuming that you're
all the same problems, all the same issues.
If you're operating off the premise that entrepreneurs are created and you kind of reflect upon your journey of going from turning wrenches and technician and, you know, dealing with Mrs. Homeowner face to face in her garage and all those types of things into the business side, was that a subtle transition? Was that an intentional decision? Was there a point where it clicked, the light bulb went off and you started thinking differently? Like, you know, a lot of our listeners are in the truck right now. Some of them might be contemplating starting their own business. Other people might be in management already in a business and think about breaking out on their own, or we have owners listening too. So like, I'm just kind of curious what your journey has been from going like in the truck to in the office to, you know, now, however you consider yourself now in terms of like empire, those types of things. Like, was that a slow journey, a slow process, an intentional one, a moment in time? How do you reflect upon that?
I mean, it's been 2 decades. I started when I was 22. I'm 42. So when you think about it, the first 10 years were practice. Uh, and I was in the truck till 2012 full time. And then the next 2 years I spent running. If we had trouble making payroll, I'd run. Or if there was a weekend or night that needed a job, I'd go run emergency calls, nights, weekends, holidays, stuff like that for the next 2 years. 2014, I was running here and there. And then it became a lot because I needed to focus on the marketing and the hiring. And I still was involved in the training and I was building like the processes, like the morning mojo calls. But I'll tell you, I needed to find a number two, and that's where Adam came in. And it took me a strong number two for me to get out of the truck. My mom and Bill did amazing things, my stepfather. But look, the best thing I could say anybody should do is always be educate themselves. Go get the knowledge you need. Like if you work on you, if you work on your leadership skills, if you work on reading, being around the right people, it'll advance you so much further than putting your head down and just working hard. Like work on you, read, work on health, like continue to hire mentors, get in the right rooms. You will advance. Like I've leapfrogged. I feel like I'm in a time machine because now I'm like, sometimes I think, man, what if I had to start over with nothing, with no contacts? Like, man, I'm 42, going to be 43 in March. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do it. Like, young buck, Tommy, I didn't have any obligations. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have a marriage. So I could work a lot. I could bartend. I could do what I needed to do. And all of my side hustle shit was a distraction looking back. But I didn't know any better. I wasn't mature enough. I didn't know the questions to ask. I mean, literally, you talk about, I was a lost soul. I mean, I wasn't like a rebel without a cause, but like I didn't know what I'm like, I ended up getting a master's degree for kind of no reason. I was pre-dental. I didn't know what I wanted. I was kind of lost in my 20s a little bit. 30s things started to make sense, and now I'm like, I'm glad I hit it at around 40. I mean, that's when a lot of the success hit. At 50, shoot, I look at like Ray Kroc and Colonel Sanders and all this shit. Like they started off in 50s and 60s. So I'm like, but then again, you need to have more than just the money. I think money is the driver of most people for freedom. And then that comes, and then what else? It gives you purpose. That's why one of my favorite books, A Man's Search for Meaning. And I think it's important. I think literally like the rest of my life is really building a plan to do bigger and better things. And money's a piece, it's a KPI. But at some point, money is like, hey, what's an extra 100 million going to do? It's like maybe for nonprofit, we could give more, we could change more lives. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a very big thing for right now because, quite frankly, I like to invest in companies, and it takes money to invest. So I need to reload here on the next transaction, and then I might need to reload again because I like to get into so many things, and they've all done well, but they take time.
When you reflect upon that journey, and you said it's been 2 decades, is there anything that stands out to you as like, I wish I had done that sooner, or I wish that I had paid attention to that earlier, or I wish I had implemented that when I was younger? I'm sure there's many of those things, but maybe a couple standouts that you can talk to somebody in a truck right now who is literally driving to a call and they're thinking about what their next 10 minutes is going to be like.
Well, I'll tell you this. I wish I would have done a lot better job learning how to hire people that are far better than I am. But when I was beginning, I couldn't afford that. And even if I could, now I know the instruments I could use to not pay as much. And there's different forms of equity. There's bonus structures that you pay at the end of the year that you're paying with the profits that they provided. There's a lot of mechanisms you could use. But I would have said to my younger self for sure is like, hire people far better and stronger and at that one particular thing. Hire specialists. I would have said, learn more about how advanced depreciation on different things you can do with a truck. Why buy a used truck that needs to be fixed every year and you're attracting like a C customer instead of an A plus customer? I could write a book called The Ode to My Younger Self.
Elevate.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things, but realistically, 2017 changed everything. Tom Howard introduced me to a lot of people. Aaron Vahev introduced me to a lot of people, and that was a game changer. I got in the right room, so I would have told myself, look, don't be afraid to ask for help. Success leaves clues everywhere. We're expanding into St. Louis in February, So I just called Hoffman. I said, I want to get you on the phone with my team. I want to find out everything that works in marketing, everything that doesn't work. I just called the CEO of Horizon because they're big in Atlanta. I want to find out some of their tips. I'm just going to go out and ask. I'm like, I got a meeting with Matt Malone with Groundworks, who's amazing at greenfields. And I'm meeting him, and I'm just going to say, what am I missing in the greenfield strategy? Because I'm going to go ask 100 people. Most people will ask 2, they'll get no's, and they'll give up. I'm relentless. I'm like, I want more. I'm going to ask triple the amount of questions, 10 times the amount of people that have been where I want to go. It's like if I want to go on a hike and I'm trying to get to the top the quickest, I should go to base camp and say, hey, who's been to the top of this mountain the quickest? Someone's going to point me to the right person and say, hey, he's not cheap, but he'll get you up there in the third of the time. And, I look at things, unfortunately, I kind of look at things as a race. I'm not getting any younger. If I could buy time, I'll do that every minute of the day. I want to buy as much as I can get. I want to buy speed. I want to buy quality. I want to skip 3 years if I can.
That's twice you mentioned that buying time. And I remember Ken Goodrich was on stage at, what was it then? Vertical Track, back when Freedom was Vertical Track. And he was talking about how well he had done and how much he had made. And he said, he was actually standing next to you on that stage. And he said, I'll tell you guys all right now, I would trade any one of you young bucks every penny I have to be 10 years younger.
It's interesting. I was talking to a guy the other day on a podcast, and he said I was with a guy that sold his business 2 years ago for $3 billion. And he said, and this is a little bit different, but he said I'd give back the $3 billion to have my company back because he lost a little bit of purpose when they sell. A lot of people do. But yeah, look, if Brian, if I told you, look, I'll give you $100 million, but you're 75 years old, would you take it?
I feel like I'm going to get there before 75. So. No, I wouldn't.
The deal is even if, look, I guess it's relative. When you're 30, you'd probably give up 5 years for $100 million for quality of life.
Yeah, sure.
Mark Zuckerberg would. You know what I mean? It's all relative.
Yeah, it's relative, and it's, there are stipulations. It's like, am I just 5 years older, or has life advanced 5 years and am I going to miss Clara going from 8 to 13 and Madeline going from 11 to 16 and, and Ethan and Julian? I'm like, well, I wouldn't give up 1 year of their childhood for any amount of money. So,
well, the other question is,
it's very relative.
The question is, how long am I going to live? If I said 30 to 35 and I'm going to live to 38, I want that 5 years a lot. If you said you'll live to be 100, but then again, the quality of life, there's this book I'm reading called Die with Zero. And it just explains when you go on a trip when you're 30 compared to when you're 60, it's way different. It's probably a lot better when you're 30. I mean, you can do a lot more. You recover faster. You experience more. You can go up and down steps faster. There's no pain. I'm not saying everybody.
You don't necessarily. I mean, I feel like in terms of most of the people I know that are pretty well off, you and Bree do it very well. Like, you don't deprive you're very disciplined, but I don't think you guys deprive yourself of living life even at this stage. Even so, do you wish you had done more even up to this point at 42, or are you happy with how you've lived your life thus far?
No, look, I'm very fortunate. Both my parents are alive. My sister's doing well, and I got 2 nieces and a nephew. The one thing I got to say is I don't have kids, but shit, I'm ready to be an old ass dad. I just hope I get to see them graduate college, see them have kids, because I will be a little bit older. I mean, look, in the back of my mind, part of me says I might not make it that long, but a big part of me says I'll make it to 200. I'm kind of an optimist. So, there's like the 80-20. But, that's just, I feel my head full. I'm on a certain frequency of only good news. I mean, I really am. I can't go to dark places. I never do well in those places. I can't allow myself to go there. I'd say one day out of the month, I get in a little funk, and it's the worst feeling in the world. I can't sleep right. And it's just, I start, not a victim mentality, but just like, what if? What if Google changes their algorithm? What if these 3 guys were to leave? What if this guy gets an out? You start going to doomsday, but it's a weird frequency. Dion, because it's literally like, and it's true. It's like you got to have a little bit of that because you got to be thinking like plan for the best, hope or
You're
hope for the
still
best,
like you
worst.
gave me that book, and you have to think like that. The CEO who sees around corners. And it's like there is a negative aspect to that seeing around corners. You want to see the bad stuff coming too. But I know what you mean. If it's so easy to just dive into quicksand thinking about what negative things could happen. It's like let's touch on it for a brief second and then put some things in place to make sure it doesn't happen and then run back to where we belong as fast as we possibly can. And you mentioned Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which is one of my favorite books too, and Nate and I were actually talking about it on the show recently. And he said in there, this between stimulus and response there's a space, and in that space is the power to choose our response or something right along those lines. There's a handful of good quotes I know from that book, but that's a big one for me. And sometimes for me, I guess coming from where I came from and going through what I've gone through, it's very easy for stimulus for me just to be something that pops into this dark fear based mind of mine. And like Brian Tracy used to talk about all the time, was like, your mind is a garden. It's just a backyard. And if you don't tend to it, it will just fill up with crabgrass and dandelions and crap that you don't want in there. So you actually have to go in there and pluck the weeds out by the root and throw them in the fire, and then plant grass seed and then water it and then make sure it gets sunlight and put some weed and feed down. And like you're constantly tending to that garden. And I definitely know what you mean by getting into those negative funks, because it if I'm not really careful, it just makes me start. It fills me with imposter syndrome. First off, I feel like up to this point where I'm at right now has been all luck. My luck could run out at any second. Everybody's just going to see me for the fraud that I feel like half the time and realize I'm just a, punk that got his GED in rehab, and I don't belong here. And it sounds funny, but I can jump on a train mentally that takes me to that place,
You
and
said
it can
that to
keep me
me
there for
before.
a very long time.
And yeah, dude, here's the deal. Look, you know what's crazy about me is I look at Elon Musk and I'm like, man, I could do that. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not Elon Musk. I'm not Jeff Bezos. But I listened to Jeff Bezos talk in the early days, early 2000s. He was worse off than I am today. So what's crazy is a lot of people, the one thing that I'll say is they get very comfortable. They lose their sharpness that got them to where they're at. And I'm like, man, there's certain days that I told you guys that I'm like, man, this is a lot. If I screw up, if I make a wrong decision, but most of the time I'm going, huh, look at that. I'm coming for you. Like there's nothing you can do or say because I believe what I could accomplish in 10 years. I'm not looking, I don't have unrealistic goals, and most people say I want to get there in 2 or 3 years. I mean, look, but if you think about money, for example, in doubles, how many doubles? I think I could do a double every 3 years. And by the time I'm 72, I got 10 more doubles. You take $1 billion and double it, that's 2 billion. Then you got 4, then you got 8, then you got 16, then you got 32, then you got 64, then you got 128, and it goes. The next one's really big. The 256. Now you're at 512, and all of a sudden that's $500 billion, and I still didn't get the 10 doubles yet. So that's what's fun, and that's just simple math. And most people don't know math. That's where I specialize is math. I say I open GPT a lot, I open Facebook a lot, and I open my calculator just as much. I mean, I live in my calculator. It's a very common open app on my phone.
Yeah, you got me. I think it was the last time I was at your house. You took my phone and you opened my Chat GPT and you started playing with all the settings.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like much more personal. It knows me better. I fixed the voice so it talks like Jarvis from Iron Man, which I think I told you about before. It sounds smarter to me with that Winston Churchill accent, So yeah, it's definitely my number one app. Calculator's probably top 5. You would, you keep barely touching on revenue anymore. And if we go back, what do you think it was? 2021, 2022 is first Waste No Day episode, Nate? 2021 probably?
Yeah. Yep.
If we go, this actually might be this episode might be our 5th anniversary episode. Yeah. All right. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
If we go back and listen to that one again, it was like all revenue talk. And now everything you say is EBITDA. EBITDA, it's net profit, right? And you had said in Elevate that revenue hides mistakes, but profit exposes mistakes. And to me, it's the same as like me rocking out in the black t-shirt after a very well-fed Thanksgiving, Christmas, and looking forward to another one here in Newport Beach this week for New Year's. I'm rocking the black t-shirt because I'm a little fluffy around the midsection, right? And this is revenue, right? But pop this shirt off for anybody who's serious about their fitness, and that's where you see their EBITDA, right? Their net profit. And you had said in the book that most, I don't know if it was millionaire operators or just high-level operators, had to learn this truth the hard way, meaning revenues for Vanity, profits for Sanity. We all celebrate and high five really big when we hit big revenue numbers. But you and, I mean, let's face it, all of the real heavy hitters in our industry talk in terms of EBITDA anymore, right? What are the things that lead to those lessons being learned, would you say?
Well, making pay
about focusing less on revenue and more on EBITDA.
Well, when I learned the mechanics of how companies sold and what a Q of E looks like and how arbitrage works, and these vital lessons of how to build company value and wealth. And then I learned profit units and equity incentive programs and how the people on my team get to win. They don't really win by making bonuses and getting 45% tax. They win by paying capital gains and creating enterprise value for the company. And if you were going to be a platform home service company, you got to get past 15, 20 million of EBITDA, and you got to prove you could do it in multiple markets. So when I learned these things and learned how to company, Eric Van Dam called me up. He's a great guest I could get on, him and Rob Parker. Is he one day proceeded to tell me every deal that had been done in the home service industry. I'm filling up my whiteboard. I'm writing down the names. I'm writing down the deals, who did the deal, who the founder or the CEO was at the time. And I was just dumbfounded. I mean, this guy contacted me on LinkedIn, and I never respond to LinkedIn. This day it was divine. It was God. He was like, go to LinkedIn. So I did, and I called the guy up, and bam, he's telling me, bam, 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 bam. And then I started working with him, and he goes, you're only at 6 million. He goes, you got to get past 20. He goes, why don't I coach you? Basically, he's like, I'll mentor you through the process. He's like, you're going to need to form a board. You're going to need to get, he goes, your CFO is not cutting it. You're going to need a recruiter. You're going to need a president. You're going to need an HR team. You're going to need a greenfield strategy. And he just walked me through it. Now, he didn't have all the answers. All he had to do was explain to me how it worked. I went out and got the answers I needed. But it was just new information. Ishmael always says I'm stupid for telling people this because they don't understand it. But I was that guy that didn't understand it. So he's like, man, you're going to confuse these guys. They're too small to hear this stuff. And I'm like, well, I still had a decent number, 6 million of EBITDA, and I was proud of that. But then it just started to go bam, 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 bam. So you understand profitability allows you to hire better, allows you to get better training, better recruiting, better tools, better operations, better software, better mentors, gives you a lot of ability to have better benefits. I mean, profit's what does everything. Without profit, there's no expansion, there's no marketing, there's no nothing. There's no new trucks. So profit pays the bills. And I think a lot of people are super happy where they're at, and they're going, man, I'm bringing in 15 million. I'm not bringing a lot home, but I got a nice house. I was able to afford my family a great life. But they didn't build enterprise value. The good news is if you get to a certain revenue and you've been around a long time, we could move a couple dials around and really add to that profit. It'll take a couple of years. But it includes you raising your prices and getting better at the data and the KPIs and understanding your numbers. And a good CFO, which rarely in the home service industry do I meet a good CFO. If I meet a great CFO with a great entrepreneur, it's magic. It's fireworks. It's crazy because they understand ad backs and they understand accelerated depreciation and all these other things that no one talks about. And they find, like, look, we renegotiated with seven contracts this December, this month. And then I met every one of my marketing. Right now, by prepaying next year, doesn't sound like a lot. I've saved about 60 grand so far by prepaying. But $60,000. And if you take the multiple, that just added, and I always think of things times 20. It's an easy number. You could do times 15, whatever. But 60 grand times 20, that's 1.2 million. And you add these things up, and you're always looking. We did a whole thing like Elon Musk did for the government. We did a what is it called? What did Elon Musk just finish with?
Doge.
The Doge program. So
Doge.
Did a Doge.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're finding money left and right. I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars. And when you get to the revenue over 300 million,
not in. You're finding it in stones unturned and maybe a little waste, not fraud, right?
No fraud. No, it's like I'll give you an example. It's just like he's working really hard right now with the auditors to prove that we should add back the rewraps, because if the wraps stay on too long, they actually ruin the truck and it's hard to get off. They don't sell as well. So that's going to add, $400,000. And you got to know what you're doing. If you ask the right CFO, what's 1 + 1? The right CFO is going to say, what do you want it to be? And it's kind of foo-foo. It's like, it's weird how it works. The tax system's very complicated. That's why we get heavy audits by a big 4 bank. We use Procter & Gamble, I believe.
Are you, because you said your answer to the question, one of the answers to the question was when I said, what are some of the mistakes made that help yourself and entrepreneurs learn why EBITDA and net profit are so much more important than revenue? And you said one of the things was the QOV, the quality of earnings report on the business. What mistakes were you referring to in that process were there that made you better understand EBITDA and why it's so important? Or is it that 20 times that 60,000 as opposed to just spending 60,000?
I use 20 as just an easy number. It might be 18, it might be 21, it could be 15. What we get is a multiple. But
you're talking multiples of EBITDA when the business sells.
So if I just throw in there a good number, which is 20, every dollar I make extra is $20. Every dollar I save is $20. When you got a great person that's looking at cutting in a wise way by renegotiating contracts, renegotiating your transaction fees, renegotiating your dealer fees when you're, like, we just got a massive rebate from one of our finance partners. Look, we buy hundreds of trucks a year. We should be paying less. We should be having them sponsor our vertical track and our Pinnacle Club. We should be asking, you know what I ask my vendors, the biggest ones for a Pinnacle trip? I go, look, I say, Brian, this is the package I think you guys should get as our sponsorship. It's $50,000. You get to come out there with us. You get the hotel included. You got to get the airway. But you're going to be with our top producers. This is the one I think that makes most sense. If you can't do this one, here's the $35,000. I don't send them, which one do you want? The 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 35, or 50? I say, you're our biggest vendor. We spend the most money with you. Here's the one I think would work the best. And you know what?
It's a sales call.
This is what I need from you. And you know what? What do you need from me? And I will say this. I think there's really good operators out there that do this really well. But our team, we are just finding money in every single corner. And I'm so excited because the new stuff I'm working on with technology and accountability, we're very healthy. We're the healthiest company I know in home service to the bottom line. And I see a path to add 10 points in the next 3 months. And I'm just getting started. Look, dude, not only did we renegotiate all these contracts that we haven't even seen savings yet, But when the KPIs come in and the zero line gets executed correctly, and I've been interviewing all the guys that are less than 5% turnovers, and now I got this magic one-on-one formula and this data that I think is just it's gonna turn us into beast mode. I mean, we already are. I'm very happy where we're at, where the team's at. I'd say I'm happy but never satisfied.
That's an amazing place to interrupt the conversation, Tommy. We're going to draw this episode to a close, but we're just getting started as well. And if it's okay with you, we're going to invite you back to next week so we can continue the conversation and hear more about the empire that you're building and the successes that our listeners can implement into their own lives. Would that be okay for you?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just going to wear the same clothes next week.
Us too.
Me
No
too.
problem.
That's the way so
we hope
shirt,
that you.
So why change?
Absolutely. We hope that you enjoyed the episode today and that you found some inspiration, some motivation, and perhaps even some accountability from Tommy's message today. And he's always bringing great ideas and inspiration to the show. We really appreciate him for that. And we would love for you to share this around. Of course, make sure that you tune in next week to hear part 2, and we'll look forward to that conversation then. Until that time, we'll leave you with our weekly challenge, which continues to be the same: to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.